Hello and welcome to our podcast, Connecting and Supporting Others. I am Mira Reis and I am delighted to have you here with us. Enjoy! I am pleased to welcome our today's guest, Denise. I am very happy to having you here. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, Mira. I really appreciate it. Or do you prefer to go by Dr. Weiss? Dr. Weiss?
No, please. I'm Mira for everybody.
Okay, Mira. Okay.
Yes.
Nice to meet you, Mira, in person. Yes, we've talked online a lot, but it's great to finally put a face to a name.
Yeah, thank you as well. So, I know about you a little bit, that you are LinkedIn influencer, you are author, creator, and maybe much more. Could you introduce yourself a little bit, please?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Denise McDonald Dorman. I am a writer, I'm a producer, I'm a creative, I'm a content strategist, a publicist, what else? Journalist. So I'm kind of many things, but they're all fall kind of under the creative umbrella. And I'm an adoptee. So first and foremost, in my formative life, I was adopted at 2 weeks old, and much of that informs the rest of my life. And so now here I am in middle age, and I'm just kind of working through all of that.
Wow, great, thank you. Okay, so maybe we can start with our first question. Could you share your story with us, please?
Oh, I'd be happy to. Like I said, I was adopted at 2 weeks of age, and I always had kind of a yearning to meet my biological family. And I went to college for journalism. I was very good at art, and I was very good at writing. And I didn't really know anyone that had like an art career beyond teaching. And I knew at that point in my life, I didn't want to be a teacher. My mindset has changed as I've grown older, but at that time I did not. So I went into journalism and writing, and I went into television. When I got out of college, I became the writer and producer on a motorsports TV show called The Superchargers, which was nationally syndicated. And that experience and those relationships that I cultivated in that experience also informed the rest of my life, and it made a huge impact on my life. The host of the show, the star of the show, was a man named Jan Gabriel. And Jan was, he was not only a mentor to me, but he became a father figure to me. And I call him my TV dad. And in my book, I refer to him as my TV dad, because that's what he was. And to this day, like the photo of him with me is the first thing I see when I wake up in the morning. That's at my dresser. So that's just, his ashes are in my house. I mean, that shows you how much he means to me. So I attribute everything really positive that happened in my life to Jan. Forgive me, I need to take a swig here. From television, we had a sponsor, and we lost our sponsor. So then we went into video production. And so Jan and I did video production for many years. And then from there, I went into public relations. I went into advertising. Everything that involves writing, I have touched in some way. Journalism a little bit, but not heavily. Writing, ghostwriting, writing my own book. I wrote my husband's autobiography. So anything that has writing involved, I really enjoy it. And that's been a lot of fun for me. But where Jan Gabriel ties back into the story, I got married at age 39 to a man who is a legend in the comic book industry. He's the #1 Star Wars artist, and he's a legendary comic book cover artist. And he had never had children. I had never had children. I was very concerned about my medical history. And so I was sharing that with Jan, who now my TV dad, who really wanted me to have children. And so he said, well, let me help you find your biological family. And I knew what their names were. So we Google searched, and there was only one man in the state of Illinois with my dad's initials, a name that could have, by age, been my biological father. So that was who we sent a blind letter to. And we didn't include my contact information. We included Jan's. And so then that was in October of 2003. So by January of 2004, I was back in Illinois, because at this time I'm living in Florida. I was back in Illinois working with Jan on the project. And he said to me, have you heard from, the letter that we sent? And I said, well, no, you would have been the one to hear. He goes, well, I haven't heard anything, and I'm really mad about this, and I'm going to get my lawyer on this. And I said, Jan, I don't think we should be so aggressive. And he says, you don't want to really know the truth, do you? And I said, no, I do. I just don't think we should, take that approach. But see, Jan is very dramatic. He has this love for story. He was the host of this TV show. I mean, he would have shown up at my bio dad's house with the TV crew and done like a whole ambush interview, like 60 minutes. I mean, that's how he is. So I had to kind of mitigate him a little bit. So the next day I flew home, and Jan called me. Like the second I landed, I had all these missed calls from him on my phone. So I called him right away, and he says, tell me you're still in Illinois. And I said, well, no, actually I'm in Florida. I just landed. And he says, well, I've got your biological mom on the other line, and she wants to talk to you. I was gobsmacked. I could not believe it. So I drove home and I talked to my mom, and I got my medical history. And my husband and I had been struggling for me to get pregnant since August when we got married. I was pregnant the next week. So I really think like I just blocked getting pregnant because I, was so afraid of what I didn't know. And so once the fear was gone, it was fine. And then I got pregnant. And then that April, the day after I turned 40, I was pregnant, and I met my biological parents. And they were married when they had me. They divorced shortly thereafter. And I had two brothers and a sister that were my full biological siblings. So it was really an extraordinary experience. And you as somebody in psychology can appreciate, I watched nature versus nurture play out in real life. I mean, it was mind-blowing what an experience that was. And to this day, all these years later, I'm still kind of sorting everything out. But the end result of the first meeting, I was there for 5 days. And at the end result of the first meeting, I kind of thought I aligned more with my dad and one of my brothers. And as time went on and revealed itself, I realized I kind of had made the wrong alliance. It was really my brother that was 18 months older than me who I really aligned with. And so that's who I'm still very close to this day. My mom, I didn't really align with, but then a few years ago, I want to say it was in 2016. I hadn't had any contact with her this whole time. And what year are we in? Yeah, I think it was 2016. My sister-in-law called me up and said, hey, your mom's got lung cancer and she's in the hospital, and I don't think she's going to make it. So, and my sister-in-law knew, that I was not in contact with my mom. And I said, I'll be on the next flight. And so I went out to New Mexico. I, sat with my mom in her hospital room, and we made amends. And I learned, extraordinary things that I never knew that my mom and I had in common. One of the things was, I said to my mom, do you ever get this kind of anxiety where you just feel like you have to create something, some art or something, and if you don't create some art right now, you're just going to lose your mind because you're just so anxious? And she said, yeah, she said, I get that a lot. And what I do is I go out and I collect rocks, and then I paint the rocks. And it was so funny because I had a rock collection, my whole life. And I used to sit with my parents, we lived out in the country, and we had this driveway with all this gravel. And I would sit out there in this gravel driveway with a person, go through all the pretty rocks and pick the rocks out. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about that. And then I said, Deneen, my sister-in-law, tells me that you really love to read. And I didn't know that about my mom. And she said, oh, I'm a voracious reader. And so she starts rattling off all of the authors that she really loves. And it was crazy because it was like she was reading my list, And so then at the very end of it, I'm holding her hand this whole time as she's telling me this story. And at the very end, she says, but my favorite author of all time is Stephen King, and my favorite book of all time is The Stand. And I felt this electrical jolt between her hand and mine,
Mhm.
because that was my favorite book of all time. Anybody that knows me well knows that. And that was my favorite author. And so I couldn't even fathom that of all the things, that's what, so we were way more alike than we were different. And I did come to find out that my mom was an amateur artist, always brilliant artist and so creative. And then her sister is a journalist and it was a newspaper in Indiana. So there were so many things, Mira, so many things.
Yeah.
It's a
Yes.
miracle.
Thank you very, very much for sharing it. Really, I can feel this energy which you can, share with us. And I do love when you said that, that you were afraid and you didn't become pregnant. And I think this is very important. I think many, many women are in the same stage. Everything is actually mostly not, but not always. Of course, there are some biological troubles as well. But
Sure.
very often it's in our mindset where we kind of stop it. I knew plenty of other women, they have the same experiences how you had, that they wanted and they were afraid, oh, it's a good decision. Even they adopted a child and then within 2 weeks, they became pregnant. So this
I've
is,
seen that happen a lot. It's
yeah,
like you just relax. It's
yeah,
like they just relax and then they stop trying so hard.
yeah,
And you know what? That's true in life. It's not just with getting pregnant.
yeah,
That is true in life. When you just relax and let it
yeah,
flow,
yeah. You
everything is good.
yeah, you just took my words. Actually, I was going to say the same. Yeah, this is the most important. Actually, then we just allow things happen. We accept what's going in our life, because
Yeah.
when we kind of find against, we just stop the flow of energy and we are not aligned, and it's much more difficult for us. So I love that you said this, and I think you could be actually a good example. You can inspire a lot of people, not only with this story with become pregnant, but with your meeting with your parent, with all this, what we don't know, but really we have some energy from them, and it's the same. And I am really happy for you, actually, that you had this great opportunity. What many kids are, not allowed to have, that you met your parents, that you had this luckiness in your life, because sometimes there is plenty of people, they are not, or they, let's say, they are angry, or they have fear, so this emotion is keeping them, or other stuff. So that you went through all this and you learn a lot of, and I think it changed your life, I think, how you said, dramatically. And
Dramatically, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And I will tell you, I had a very interesting experience last weekend. One of my friends sent me a YouTube video, and I feel terrible that I don't know this gentleman's first name. I feel like it might be Andrew, but I'm not sure. But it's a doctor of psychology. His name is Dr. Sundland, Sundland. He has a British accent, so I'm assuming he's in Europe somewhere. And he did this lecture on addiction and adoption. And even though I don't have an addiction, issue per se, I mean, I have little quirky things, but because I was so fearful, I never got into drugs. I never drank heavily. It just never was my interest, because I was so worried about addiction running in my family. And one of the first things I asked my mother when I got her on the phone was, I said, is there any addiction in our family? And she said, yeah, I've been in rehab for alcohol, and your brother Pat's been in rehab for alcohol. And I said, oh, good to know. So, and now I have my son, so I'm constantly on him about, addiction runs on both sides of our family. So you really have to toe the line here, buddy. So, but I learned so much from this Dr. Sundland last weekend. Like, I learned that, well, I have ADHD, and he said there's a preponderance of adoptees that have ADHD because of all of the chemical things that happen to you when you get separated from your birth mother. And then he goes into all of this detail, like time regulation. I have an issue with time regulation. What were some of the other things that he listed? I mean, ADHD was really the thing that, oh, hypervigilance. Oh my gosh. If anybody knows me, they know that, like, I startle so easily. If somebody comes up upon me, I will literally throw my coffee cup up and I mean, I am so jumpy,
Yeah.
easily startled. I have all of these,
Mm.
things that I have to, kind of work around. I mean, it's kind of funny, we just try to kind of laugh it off, but it's kind of irritating. And I have trouble remembering names. I have trouble remembering dates. Um, there are a lot of things that I have going on that I have to really work hard to work around, because in the career that I've chosen, you have to be able to remember names. You have to, it's a challenge. It's definitely it's been an interesting experience learning all of this.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thank you
Mhm.
for sharing this. So, and now, could you say anything about your, like, let's say, true calling, your mission? What do you think? Why you are here? Do you have any ideas? What you would like to share with us? What's your mission in this life?
Oh, sure, I'd be happy to. Um, I think my first mission is, and I think this is everyone's first and foremost mission, is you're here to learn. You're here to learn lessons. And once you learn those lessons, then you share those lessons with everyone else. And so I've learned a lot, and I will continue to learn a lot, but I will share the lessons that I've learned with anybody who is open-minded enough and has the interest and wants to learn. And then the second thing is, I think we're all here to create. I think we're all here to create something. And for everybody, that is something different. For one person, it might be to create a thriving psychology practice, maybe what you're doing, right? And a podcast. And I'm actually launching a podcast called Cool People I Know. So I want you to be on it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would love that. It would be so fun.
Thank
Because I have a million questions for you. And the other thing is, I think that and then the other thing I wanted to say is, when people don't know what it is that they're here to create, I think that creates an anxiety within those people. And I think that once you figure out what that creative outlet is and you start deploying that creative outlet, then your life is going to change. It may be something really quirky like EDM music, or calligraphy, or knitting, whatever that is. You need to find that thing. Maybe it's woodworking, maybe it's sculpting, maybe it's doing ironwork, but whatever that thing is, find it, because that's how you're going to get your fulfillment.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you. Actually, this is one of my mission as well, to support people, to figure out what their, let's say, talents are, gifts, because sometimes, of course, because of education, parents, and so on, we keep inside what we really want to do and forgotten, because, parents want us to be a pianist, so we try hard, but inside we want to be journalists like you. So when this is my mission as well, to encourage people to find their unique mission, because I do believe we are like harmony, like huge symphony here, and each instrument has a very important role. And when we stop to, do it, the harmony is not so, so everybody is very, very important in this one huge orchestra. So I love your.
I agree. I love that. I totally agree. Yeah. I mean, I have a person that I know right now who, his dad was a pilot, and he felt like he was forced to become a pilot. And so he did. He became a pilot. He was dutiful to his parents, made them happy. And, in his, let's see, how old is he now? Okay, so I would say maybe in his late 40s or early 50s, he got so depressed and so unhappy and had to take leave. And it was because he really wanted to work with wood. He's a woodworker, and now he retired from being a pilot, and he's happy as a clam, and he's making all of these beautiful things, and he's amazing. And he had this gift that was just bubbling up, and it needed to come out, and now he has a calm and happy life.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, when we follow our passion, we are happy. We were born happy, but we kind of forgot it. And when we are happy, we can bring happiness towards other people.
Yes.
Actually, giving happiness, support others to be happy. It's, I think, the very important role in our life. So
it is a very important role. And that's what I'm so concerned that this very woke culture that we're in right now is trying to suppress comedians, because we need comedians more than ever. Do we need comedians? Oh my gosh. I find that when it's pretty rare that I have a creative block. So let me just say, it's not that this happens that often, but on the rare occasion, and it's usually when I'm doing work that I really don't enjoy. It's not when I'm doing my own stuff. It's, I'm writing about septic systems or something awful, then it's like, I can't find another paragraph to write about this. And what I will do is I will read, I have all these books that I've collected, like David Letterman's top 10 lists. I think they're hysterical. So I'll read those. I've got these Jack Handey, Deep Thoughts by Jack Handey books. I've got the whole collection. So I'll read through those and I just start laughing. And when I laugh and I'm back in that joy mode, that's when I can create again. So that's kind of my tip for your audience. If you want to get creative and you want to remove those blocks, find whatever it is that makes you laugh. Watch, I know, Sebastian Maniscalco. When I watch Sebastian Maniscalco on YouTube or Facebook, he kills me. Well, he's from Chicagoland. So first of all, we kind of share that. And early Kathy Griffin stuff. I don't think she's funny anymore, but early Kathy Griffin stuff really makes me laugh. So there's just people that Wanda Sykes. If I even hear Wanda Sykes's voice, I'll start laughing. She just kills me. So there are just certain things that you've got to kind of surround yourself with to bring your joy back. And so you get back in that flow, in that creative flow.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, about laughing theory, therapy, that
I know a little bit about it. I'd like to know more.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, that you kind of listening people who are laughing, that you can have different recording and you find the best one for you and you listen and you start to laugh, and then you laugh for how long do you want? It's really, it's huge relaxing, you relieve all of tension in your body and it really, really works. And other kind of approaches which I like as well is that you can feel, let's say, tension in your stomach or in some organs. You can close your eyes and put like smile. You can put a nice light there in your stomach and a smile there. And all tension is dissolving as well. So smiling as well, it's very, very, very important in our life. And it brings more, let's say, harmony in our energetic system as well.
So that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So
that would be a really great job for me, Mira. If somebody should record me laughing, because I have a ridiculous laugh. And it's so funny because I went to a Kathy Griffin concert in Chicago. And my best friend and I and my husband, we were on the elevator leaving the concert. And my best friend, who is hysterical, that's another thing. Surround yourself with funny people.
Yeah,
that is so important. People that make you laugh. Surround yourself, cultivate your circle with funny people.
Yeah.
So my best friend is one of the most hysterical people in the world. And she said something so funny. And I just burst out laughing. And this voice in the back of this crowded elevator says, "I'd know that laugh anywhere." And I looked, and here's this girl that I had gone to school with from kindergarten until 5th grade, maybe. No, I think 3rd grade. She moved to Texas because I live in Illinois. She moved to Texas, but we stayed in touch, writing letters. And then in high school, she moved back. And so I would see her on and off, once in a while, not very often. But isn't that funny? Like, here I am in this elevator with all these, it was crazy. Yeah. And then I think the other message to your audience is know thyself, know who you are, know your true north.
Yeah.
Take psychological tests, take Myers-Briggs, take an Enneagram, really understand who you are. And once you do, that can also help you direct the right career path. And for me, I'm just, there's a book that Malcolm Gladwell wrote years ago called The Tipping Point. And it talks about how trends occur. Like he actually does this whole kind of the anatomy of a trend, how things get trendy, how things go viral. And one of the key people within the trend is the connector. I had probably 3 or 4 people call me up after this book comes out and said, "Denise, you're in this book, you're the connector," because I am. I unabashedly, it's like breathing to me. If somebody says I need something, I'm a problem solver. I will find them the person that I know, and my golden Rolodex is insane. I will find the person that I know that's so random to connect them with.
Yeah.
And so like journalists love me because if they need somebody for a story, no matter how weird and random it is, I've got a subject matter expert for you. Because I know people from, you know, people in prison to CEOs. Like my bandwidth is of people, my collection, as my best friend calls it, is very vast and very far reaching.
Yeah.
And it really enriches your life to have that garden with all of those different flowers of all of those different you know, genuses, and it's an amazing way to live with this interesting collection.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, when you said that, you know, that we are different and that you have disconnecting skills, this is other with, you know, with my tools, which I'm supporting people. It's numerology and astrology. You know, I'm not like blinded, but, you know, you can really find there, you know, what kind of vibration we brought when we were, you know, when we came here. And this can help you as well, you know, that to realize, you know, not everybody is the same like with these talents. Not everybody is able. So this is kind of other approach which I'm offering people that, okay, we don't have any trouble, we can go and we can talk about this, and we can find your, let's say, predominant element, because this is very important, you know, which element, and you know, which element is connected is different profession, different emotion, with everything. So this, I think, I do agree with you. I'm happy you told it. You know, that is very, very important to know about ourselves, who we really are and what are our gifts. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, people should be open-minded and explore those things. Like, okay, so I'm Aries with the Aquarius rising, Sagittarius moon. So that if you understand that, you understand my personality.
Yeah.
But then you also, you know, there's a gentleman I follow on Quora. I don't know if you know Quora, Quora.com.
Yeah.
So there's a gentleman named Richard Martini. He has a kind of like his own group, I guess you would say. It's called Hacking the Afterlife. And it's so interesting. And he has a podcast too. It's so interesting because he's worked with all of these neuropsychologists that do deep hypnosis. And I think it's Dr. Michael Newton is kind of the main guy that really launched this whole exploration of deep hypnosis, and all of these people reporting all of these past life things. And they've been able to, you know, get the names of these people and then actually like go down the rabbit hole of researching, well, was this person really in this World War I regiment? And they find out, yes, he was. And yes, he did die this way. And like, it's just crazy, the stuff that comes out of these people when they're under deep. And he's filmed, what did he tell me? I forget how many he's filmed. I think it's over 1,000 that he's filmed.
Yeah.
Just amazing. And he's written several books and he's very interesting. But, you know, one of the things that comes out of that whole line of thinking is that we basically make a contract before we come here to figure out what are we here to learn.
Yeah, definitely.
What do we need to you know, augment that maybe we didn't do well with, you know, previously.
Yeah.
So
definitely. Yeah, and actually, you know, it looks funny, but, you know, we didn't talk before, but, you know, what are you telling? It's like very close what I am doing now, because I am now just finishing new course with a lady. She's from Canada. Her name is Lynn Russell, and she was helping to be honest, I don't remember the name of the researcher, helping him to collect, and she collected 2,500 stories with people who had near-death experiences.
Yes, Dr. Richard Martini does too.
Yeah.
Near-death experiences, and then the hypnosis. Isn't it amazing? It's always the same.
Yeah, and actually, we pre-recorded, you know, like 6 lessons together, and now I'm kind of putting it together, and I would like to put like a little bit advice how we can use this information in our daily life, you know, to improve ourselves. So it's interesting, you know, you just said it, and we are now in the, you know, we are just finishing. I think this month next month we will publish it.
I can't wait to read it. I will be the first one to read it and give you a review. University of Virginia has a program that's dedicated to, okay, let me think how to say this right. Well, Richard Martini talks about it a lot, but they have a program that's dedicated to this deep hypnosis and, you know, all of this past life regression stuff. And I believe NDEs or near-death experiences are part of that program.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So check into, I'll send you the information on that. I'm going to find that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're welcome.
Yeah. So we can move to other question.
Sure.
So now you imagine you have a superpower and you can travel in the time and you are meeting your younger version. What kind of advice you will give to yourself?
Oh, okay. I would give advice to myself to start working out every day. Don't wait until you're middle age to start doing it. Work out every day. Take more risks. Don't be afraid. Take more risks. Understand that the person that you might be married to in your 20s is not the person that maybe fulfills your needs in your 30s, and maybe the person you're married to in your 40s is not the person you need in your 50s. You need to forgive yourself and move on when it's no longer serving its purpose. I think that I would tell myself to invest in Microsoft and probably Apple. And what else would I tell myself? Oh, I think I would tell myself to start writing books sooner. Yeah. If I could have been a full-time author my whole life instead of waiting, you know, until later in life to launch this, I think I would have had a lot happier life. So yeah, definitely.
I do love you say forgive yourself. So now use this advice in your age now. Forgive yourself. You didn't start to write when you were younger.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely need to. Yeah. And learn about yourself. Start early on. Learn about yourself. Get into therapy and understand who you are and heal yourself so that then you can help heal your fellow man or woman, fellow people. Sorry, I always have to correct myself a lot, but again, forgive myself too.
Yeah, this is very important. Actually, you know, when we don't forgive ourselves, you know, we are still, you know, like feeling this pain. And actually, when we are thinking about this, for our energy, it doesn't matter if it is already happened. You know, it's like it's happening now.
Right.
It's like, and you know, in our brain, this let's say connection. They're like highway, you know, before it was, let's say, like footpath, but when we do it, and it's always, it's like, you know, we go there like automat, you know, we are like, you know, like this hamster in this wheel. So this is really, really important, you know. It's not so easy. I know it's not so easy to forgive yourself, but I think it's very, very important. Yeah.
You know how they say that when the student is ready, the teacher will come? You know that saying?
Yeah.
So this is so interesting because right now I have a psychologist client that I do PR for. His name is Dr. Christopher Portman. And he's so amazing. You would love him, Mira. And he teaches people, he works a lot with like veterans and PTSD patients and people that have experienced like major trauma. And he has this, he calls it a mental health makeover, but he has this little system that he has created that no one else has done, where he takes them through in a very short time. Like they don't have to go through therapy for years and years. In a very short time, he gets through the problem and he helps them fix it and move on with a happy life. And he's got so many cases like this, and he's so interesting. And so I've been taking a lot of what he's been telling me just in, you know, when I'm developing my media pitches, you know, to talk about him. I've been really internalizing everything that he's been saying and applying it to my own life. And it's really changed me just from the halo effect of being around him.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, maybe, I don't know if you had in your life, you know, the second part of this advice, when you are really, really ready, the teacher disappear. Have you heard this? That when you are really, really ready, your teacher disappear because your biggest teacher you have inside in yourself.
Oh, it's you. Okay.
Yeah. So, and this is like, you know, it's very important, but of course we need in some, you know, we need to like support and so on. But when it's really right time, we don't need teach anymore, because
Right.
we believe what we can hear from here, not from our head, from our ego, but what we
Mhm.
really hear from universe, let's put it this way, from the deep wisdom which we already have, each of us.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes if you're not listening closely enough to yourself, that wisdom will come through really random and weird ways. So for example, you might be thinking and putting it out into the universe. Oh, I wonder what would happen if I did XYZ. And all of a sudden you turn the radio on in your car and there is the answer. Like
Yeah.
somebody's having a talk show and they're interviewing somebody and they answer the exact question.
Yeah.
I have so many incidences like that in my life where I call it a God wink, where God's just kind of giving you a little nudge, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think, whole our life, it's like, full of these symbols, signals, but we are not listening, we are too much, let's say, in our outward, in this,
Mhm.
what is mostly like illusion. We are not listening ourselves. But when we calm down and we are in the flow, everything is just going like in the river, and we are meeting the right information, how you just said that, what you need, everything is approaching us, but we are not aware very often. But it's a life, it's like this.
What's the most important thing to me about therapy is finding what your patterns are, what the patterns are in your life that are negative, so that you can eradicate those and have a happy life. It's really important to first understand what the patterns are, identify them, and then remove them. So for me, because I was adopted, and because I grew up with a emotionally abusive parent who, one of her ways of punishing us was literally giving us the silent treatment for a week at a time.
Oh,
So I gravitated towards people who were emotionally unavailable to me. And once I realized that pattern, I stopped. But it took me, decades to figure out that one simple
yeah.
that one simple pattern that was like
Yeah.
so destructive in my life that I kept. I mean, even my cat is such a jerk. I love her, but she is so emotionally unavailable. She will not sit in my lap. She's like a narcissist cat, but I love her. But
Yeah.
she's the exception. I keep her in my life, but that's it. I'm done with emotionally unavailable
Yeah.
people.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so now last question. You have other superpower. It's
Mhm.
a lovely sunshine day. We have like this, and you can make a rain. You are a rainmaker. So
Mhm.
huge rainbow is in the sky. And
Mhm.
everybody who is ready to receive your message, just watch, the rainbow, and already has it in his heart. What message
Mhm.
you will put there?
Find your true north.
Hmm?
Make that your life's mission. Find your true north. Know what it is you're here to do, and do it. And you will be so fulfilled for the rest of your life.
Wow. Great. Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yeah, it's
Oh, thank you, Vera.
ah,
I'm serious. I mean it. You're going to be on my podcast too,
yeah.
because I have a million questions for you, and I can't
Okay.
wait to read your book. You have to ping me the second that gets published so I can share that out.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, okay. Okay, so thank you very, very much. And if you want, we can finish now. And okay, we can go. I will cut this. I just
Sure.
want you, if you would like to talk a little bit about your book, and I can send it to you. You can have it like promotion for yourself.
Oh,
Okay.
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 Sure. Yeah.
So okay.
It's not done yet. So I'm
I know.
working
Yeah.
with the team, so it's not done yet. But I don't know if you could really read the cover from the version I sent you. But
I tried, but it was
okay, so
maybe
let
yeah.
me tell you like what it is. So okay, so I was adopted at 2 weeks old. I had a disfigurement throughout my life until I was, I don't know, 18 or no, 19, I guess. So I had a disfigurement. I had a medication that I took when I was a baby. I always had like throat infections. I had my tonsils out when I was 5. And so I was allergic to antibiotics as a baby. And so I was given this drug called tetracycline, which stained my teeth. And so I'm a smiler and a laugher. And so I had this, and I mean, that's right there. It's out there for the world to see, right? So that was my challenge, to live with that shame and humiliation every day. Then on top of that, um, my dad, who raised me, my adopted dad, I found out in 2014, he had Klinefelter syndrome. So I almost went into psychology because I wanted to understand why my dad was so different. It was like living with an autistic person in a way. He was very brilliant at what he knew, but he was very almost savant like. He knew everything about carpentry and construction, but you couldn't have a conversation with him about anything else but that. He had no interest in anything else. He didn't know anything else. He dropped out of school when he was in 8th grade. So it was like my family that raised me. I really was not like, I didn't feel a connection, and then of course my mom, abusive, so it was like, so I had this very, tough childhood. And then I went through college and I went into TV production, and of course found this mentor, my TV dad, Jan Gabriel. And so, he was wonderful and really helped me through a lot. And, then of course, like, because you have so many insecurities from being adopted and, being bullied your whole life because of your appearance and all of these things, it's like all of these things are like rattling around in your brain. And then I ended up, feeling like this imposter syndrome, like, oh, I don't belong here. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. So you have all of these insecurities. And so I had to work through all of that. And then I married my husband, who in the comic book world is a very famous individual, so then it was like I kind of stood in his shadow a little bit because, he was the celebrity. And so that was very humbling, has been a very humbling experience. I no longer feel that way, but it was kind of a humbling experience. I mean, he was always the superstar at every, show we did. And then I started writing a blog, and then like people started coming up to me at the shows and saying, oh, I read your blog and I really like it. And I was like, oh, I mean, that felt really good. And I thought, I want more of that, So, so then I started kind of stepping out of his shadow and kind of doing more my own thing. When I was, pregnant, 7 months pregnant, our house got hit by Hurricane Ivan. My husband refused to leave. And so we had to sit through, and a tornado hit our house. And, so then our house was wiped out for months. And it was like very traumatic for me. It's like I kept having all of these traumas throughout my life that I had to keep healing from. And I think my message to people is have a sense of humor and cultivate people in your life that bring you joy, so that can lift you out of all of this trauma and sadness and negative,
Yeah.
self-speak.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you. So when your book is ready, let us know and we can promote it. Okay.
I'd be happy to. Thank you.